Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Davis, at The Lamb Show on all social media outlets. My guy, Allen, in the building. A-double-L-E-N. What's good?
Let's go.
Man, how you been? Because I haven't seen you in like a week and a half. Because
Yeah.
we did the Thanksgiving slate on the YouTube channel. I saw some people went and tuned in and checked that out. So shout out to you guys. YouTube.com/Veterans Minimum. Cheap plug. Get it out the way. How was your Thanksgiving? How was your holiday? You do any shopping? Are you a Black Friday guy? What's up?
Not too much for Black Friday. I'll buy a pair of jeans and a dress shirt. That's about it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was working because the Falcons play at night. So it was just second time, this year. The past 2 years, I should say. So, but of course, you enjoy a good meal. But I thought Sunday's slate was pretty lackluster. Because I don't get to watch Red Zone too much, unless when the Falcons are on, I can't watch Red Zone. It's like one of the few Sundays a year I get to watch Red Zone, and the games are really lackluster. I don't know. And then the 4 o'clock slate was brutal, so not a really good week for football, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I always have the Giants on in the background, and shit show. Daniel Jones is hurt now, so Eli Manning is starting on Monday Night Football. So fire up Eagles D with the utmost confidence. And yeah, the only good game was the Niners and the Ravens. That was a pretty good.
And the weather, fortunately,
the weather killed it, yeah. But it was still good to see those two teams really show out. And I got a lot out of that from both of those teams. We'll get to that in a little bit, but dude, when it comes to the shopping stuff, Black Friday, shout out to everyone that bought stuff. I checked out the numbers from the loyalist.com/Veterans Minimum. Man, I'm getting really good at these
Yeah, I get the lead in.
These cheap plugs, you know what I'm saying? And some people reached out for some of the merch too.
McFoley would approve.
Oh yeah, bang bang. So yeah, I didn't really do any shopping, bro. What I usually do is I'm not really like a shopper, okay. Right? I went to the mall a couple of weeks ago and I got a bomber jacket that I threw the VM logo on it and whatnot. Not for sale, just to in 2020 I plan on just wearing my merch kind of thing, to spread the word and whatnot. But when's the last time you went to the mall to shop? Because for me, it's been a long, I'm talking about years, bro.
Yeah, it's been a while because I'm primarily in Manhattan, so you just see stores.
Oh, chill, upper echelon.
Yes, I don't go to Long Island, I don't go to Roosevelt Field really anymore. I used to go back in the day, but now it's just easy access. Why am I going to go to the mall, go out my way when I could just buy stuff? Because whether it's through Amazon or if I'm just going to order stuff, or just if it's right there, why not just go there? So I just don't like going out my way for stuff anymore. Just if the things are there, why not?
The only thing I go out my way to buy is when it's clothes from either a company I'm not familiar with, or if it's a suit. I'm not going to buy a suit off Amazon.
No.
Right? Where a suit, I want it tailored, I want it custom fit. My body's at a position right now where it's probably going to be what it is going forward. I've lost the weight that I've lost and whatnot. Actually, shit, I've put on
Well, Thanksgiving, let's
but not even. I've had a really good week of working out and eating right.
There you go.
I got Miami in 42 days and a couple of hours until my flight. I do have a timer on my phone. That's how like a countdown thing. Right. So that's how I know it's exactly
nice.
But I got to get right for the 305 because Lamb loves the 305. This is one thing about me, Allen, and everyone that listens. But going back to the suit thing, when it's something like a suit or something where you need it to be fit a certain way, then I go to the mall. And that's why I went to the mall, because I'm thinking of buying a couple of suits. New Year's is coming up, Christmas and whatnot. But man, it is unbelievable how quiet the mall was too. And I went on a Wednesday night at around 7:00, and it was just dead, dude. I feel like wow. Amazon has just destroyed everything.
It's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Everyone, if it's anything that's more accessible, people are going to do it now. That's whether it's through apps or just go on Amazon, because why am I going to wait in traffic? Why am I going to go kill myself for 30, 45 minutes or even longer? So, and
then they might not have your size. It might be out of stock. It might not be available.
Yeah.
So
especially if you're at really hye standards, it's if something's not right, or if it's on the floor, I'm not touching that, because they're very fickle.
Yeah, and also I wear medium shirts, and I'm a 34 waist, and it's the most popular sizes for men, and I'm a size 10 in shoes, so it's I always struggle to find stuff. Right. So it's always an adventure there. But
one thing I want to ask you about, though, because obviously being the proud gambler that you are, this whole Josh Shaw situation.
Oh man, yeah. I do have a guest coming on next week, so I'm not going to give. We're primarily talking about this. I don't want to give away too much, but I will say that the one thing that has irked me is a lot of people have gone on talk shows or on TV, and even CNN ran a story, and they're like,
Wow,
"This
you seen that?"
Well, dude, it's like it's a professional athlete
True.
betting on his team. This is
Right.
Pete Rose all over again.
Yeah.
And the big talking point is, well, this is the reason why sports betting shouldn't be legalized. And it's like, no, you couldn't be more wrong.
Right.
This is the exact reason why sports betting should be legalized because, long story short, without giving away too much, again, this is yet another situation that the sports book snitched on Josh Shaw. First of all, the guy wrote professional athlete on occupation. When he claimed his prize, he wrote professional athlete.
Yeah.
Legend, right? Like, you're an idiot for doing that, number one. Number two, get one of your friends to go do it, right? Like, you could easily do that. If you're going to go do it, right? Number three, there's been a case way back in the day, Arizona State football team, they had some gambling issues. Boston College, they did a tremendous 30 for 30 on the BC scandal where, they were point shaving. And then now you have Josh Shaw come over, and it's like, well, the sports books are the ones that sold out Tim Donaghy, the BC scandal, because their main objective is to win money. Yeah. They've built brick and mortar casinos and hotels, all that shit you see out in Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas. You know how they built that? Legends like us going up to windows and placing 14 parlays for $100. That's how. So
you bet on England to win the Euros in 2016.
Oh my God, I'll never forget. I was at the Wet Republic pool party, and there's a huge ass banner in one of the cabanas, and it's a Man U flag. There's an England flag, and that was when they were playing. I believe it was Russia.
Yeah, they drew.
And I saw the guys up there, and I was just like, "What's up, lads? We got a W today, right?" They're like, "Oh man, these guys are just going off." I was like, "What do you mean? What happened?" They're like, "We tied to the Russians." I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "I bet." Here comes a humble brag and a flex. I bet $500 on them to win the Euro Cup.
Right.
And I told the guy, he goes, "Mate, stupid." He's like, "They're never going to win." He's like, "You should have asked us before you placed it." But anyway, going back to the Josh Shaw thing, man, like I think it's very important for people to understand that when it's legalized and it's regulated and you have to go to a casino, you have to go to a sports book, what happens is it's protected by the sports book. Like if Josh Shaw was to go and do that with the bookie down the block, that's fine. Like that's easier for it to be covered up and hidden.
Right.
And, I just think that when it's regulated and it's protected like that, you can avoid scandals like this. And lo and behold, Josh Shaw got caught,
His career's probably over at this point.
Well, yeah, he was also the guy that had, he had some shit at USC, too. Like, he jumped out a window or he did something crazy. Like,
I think every 3 years is a scandal at USC.
He faked an injury, I think it was.
Wow.
At USC. I want to pull it up right now.
He was currently on IR.
Yeah, he was on IR too, which was another thing. Like he was a guy who he had no
secondary
impact.
Is disaster.
Yeah, he had no impact on that game. Mm-hmm. But it's like you bet on your team, and I'm sure you have some insider information, like you knew the matchups or whatnot. He tells the truth about what really happened that August day, which he suffered 2 high ankle sprains after leaping from a 3rd-story balcony. One of the strangest college football stories ever since Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend. Shout out to Manti Te'o.
Just got picked up.
Did he?
By the Saints.
Again?
Yeah.
He was pretty solid with the Saints.
I guess they just need linebacker depth.
Right.
There's certain teams, like look at the Vikings, like Laquan Treadwell, for instance. No team touched him when he got cut. They're like, all right, the system. I guess we have to bring you on because there's no receivers out there. You just certain team connections. Yeah.
Right. Adam Thielen was
especially when you're a high round pick, they'll continue to give you chances no matter how many times you underwhelm. Whether you're a Treadwell or Teo.
I mean, shit, the Giants kept Eric Flowers all those years because he was a young first-round pick. And it's like, well, after 22 games, you realize that ain't it, Chief.
Can't start.
That ain't it. So, Alan, looking at the landscape of the National Football League right now, I got to ask you a question. Of the teams that we're looking at, let's do a top 5 Super Bowl contender list, right? I want you to start off with let's do like a draft right now.
Okay.
All right. So we'll do 6 teams. We each rotate, and we see which one of us ultimately picks the Super Bowl winner. How's that? Is that good with you?
All right.
All right. Now, you as the guest and the co-host, I'll give you the luxury of getting the first pick in this snake draft. So I want you to pick the team that you have as your number one contender to win the Super Bowl.
Still riding with the Saints.
Saints.
Still.
Wow.
I know they looked vulnerable a bit, but I'm still confident with their offense. I think Teron Armstead's bound to come back. Getting him back will be huge. And just that secondary is really playing at a high level. I think putting P.J. Williams in the slot's helping him out. Eli Apple had a couple of bad PIs against the Falcons, but I think he's even stepped up. But that safety duo, Von Bell and Marcus Williams, really elevated play. I think that defense is one of the better units in the league. I know they allow a lot of yards, but when you have a pass rush and you have a secondary that are full ball hawks, I think they have enough. And then offensively, the Saints are what they are. So, yeah, I'm still riding with them.
Okay, so that's a shock to me. That's a shock.
I've been high on them all year. I know they had the blunder against the Falcons, but I'm going to cut that as one game. I am still a little concerned about Breeze, but I thought he actually looked really good on Thanksgiving. Just Jared Cook, you got to hold on to the ball. Like, I've been saying this for 8 years at this point. Just hold on to the ball. You're a freak. You're a credible athlete. Like, come on.
So I thought you would pick the Ravens.
They're up there.
Yeah. I'm not going to pick the Ravens. I'm going to also pick an NFC team.
That you've been high on all year.
Yeah.
Since August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still not ready to sell my stock on the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. I like what I saw in that game against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, we'll get to the Ravens in a little bit because I'm sure one of us is going to pick them. Man, that defensive line is no joke. And also that dude, we were talking about it when we were watching the Niners. Oh no, when they had played the Sunday Night Football game and then we recorded the Thanksgiving special.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, that guy on the Niners, that linebacker,
Fred Warner.
Like, I don't know what his like the analytics numbers behind them are, and I don't know like what his measurables are, but it's like I just see that dude. Like, I'm a big eye test guy. Yeah. I've always been like, you know. Last year it was the Adam Jones and Jamal Williams debate. I was like, dude, the offense just flows better when Adam Jones is. And then, you know, like in the offseason, like Adam Jones is the better PFF guy and whatnot. And it's like that dude just always is around the ball. He always makes plays. And it turns out that he's like the signal caller for that defense too, which is, you know, high praise also. But I think they have a really complete team. Deebo Samuel is now like a legitimate gonna start on your fantasy team, and you can expect him to put up double-digit points kind of thing. Like, he's a reliable wide receiver.
Having Kittle healthy is big.
Kittle is probably the most complete impactful skill position player, I think, in the NFL on offense.
Because look at that run by Mostert, the touchdown run. Kittle had the main block.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal blocker.
Yeah, and I would say that, you know, this, the running back by committee thing with the Niners, it's something that Shanahan did, you know, back in his day with the Falcons. So it's not something where, you know, like Coleman gets hurt and it's like Breida's in, or Breida's hurt and it's like I got Jeff Wilson and I got Mostert. It's like, you know, it's more the system and the scheme that allows these guys to have the luxury. And, you know, I love the Emmanuel Sanders pickup.
Juszczyk's always a threat.
Yeah, Bourne makes like 3-4 key catches.
Terrible hand. That Seattle game was a nightmare, but he is a decent possession receiver.
So I'm going to go with the Niners as my number 2 pick. Who are you going with at 3?
Gotta go to the Ravens at this point.
Okay.
That secondary is scary.
And it's been no joke since they got Peters, too.
Right. And he's really... I know he kind of botched the touchdown to Samuel, but look, everyone loses... Sometimes, you know, tracking deep balls is not as easy as it looks. Like, everyone's like, oh, it was in his area. He has to knock it down. Sometimes you just lose track of the ball, especially in that weather. So between him, I thought Humphrey had a really good game against the Niners, and Jimmy Smith is always someone that's going to deliver. Earl Thomas is looking a little old. Like, that touchdown run took a very bad angle, and he just doesn't have the agility once had. But I think when you tear your Achilles, especially at that age, it was tear his ACL or his Achilles?
Wasn't it like a groin injury?
Man, because he went on IR like in early September, right?
Well, I remember he had the holdout, and then he got hurt against the, I believe it was the Cardinals that he got hurt.
Yeah, because he flipped off Pete
Carroll. He flipped off Pete Carroll. What was it that he hurt? I don't think it was an Achilles, bro. I'm pretty sure it was a groin or a hamstring. But I do think, you know, the addition of...
Fractured his left leg.
Okay. Fractured left leg.
Still, at that age, that's a pretty painful.
So you were closer than I was. I was talking about the man region. You're talking about like the lower leg injury. But I do think that like Earl Thomas, it's more like just a veteran presence back there more than anything. And you know, Jimmy Smith is back. Marlon Humphreys, super underrated. I think now he's starting to really get the love, and Marcus Peters, and they generate a pass rush through blitzing too.
Yeah, that offense line's also really.
The offensive line is good. I'm a little concerned though with the Ravens. Like, can you get away with 150 yards passing from Lamar and all of it, like none of it going to your wide receivers?
Well, in that particular matchup, between the weather being bad, Lamar missed some throws, don't get me wrong, but I think against the best defense league in San Fran, it's like you got to take what you can get. And just with the weather, I think it was just one of those matchups. But I think with just Lamar, they were just killing him on the zone read. Like San Fran was at position. Like whenever Baltimore wanted to run zone read, they had success. That was it. And then they mixed up with Edwards and Ingram. It's just if you keep them guessing like that, you only need to throw the ball too much. So I understand there's some concern with that, but the way Baltimore runs their offense, it really doesn't matter. I think their receivers, if they make plays, great, but it's all scheme at this point when it comes to creating passing plays. Like look at the play action pass to Mark Andrews for a touchdown. They've been doing that all year. Even San Fran, as great as that defense is, they fell for it, like the play fake. Like Warner was completely out of position. They hit Andrews down the seam. So I just think Greg Roman, guy that I think teams will be looking at for a potential head coach, for them, it's all about scheme. So that's why I think Baltimore, they're in a really good position.
Yeah, I'm with you. Right now, they're the Vegas favorite to win the Super Bowl. So good pick there. Man, I'm going to go with another NFC team.
Okay.
And I'm a little bit concerned. I want you to tell me what you think about this stat right here. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. And
I like that pick.
And are they the luckiest team ever?
Because one possession games, they're like 6-0 now? Or
Yeah.
5-0. I know there was that stat on Monday night they showed.
Yeah,
they were on the field.
so per RJ Bell, RJ in Vegas, my guy RJ Bell, big fan of his. 10-2 record, yet outscored opponents by only 36 points combined this season, plus 3 points per game. The last 30 seasons. First NFL team to have 10 wins by game number 12 without outscoring opponents by more than 3 points per game. This is a team that I always say, one of the biggest things when it comes to handicapping and seasonal outlooks, win totals, division odds, Super Bowl odds, is record and one possession games, right? It's one of like my key things, and also turnover differential. You can't bank on the Chicago Bears last year. Their defense was so lights out because they caused all these turnovers and they had countless defensive scores.
Same as the Jaguars in 2017.
Right. And you can't account for a team to be plus 30 every year in turnovers. Like those are outlier seasons, right? Between that and record in one-score games. Look at the Chargers this year, prime example. Right?
Well, past Lion teams were notorious for that.
Right. It's like one year they go 7-1 and they make the playoffs. The next year they go 1-8. So where I'm getting at with the Seahawks is they've been consistent in one-score games due to the magic that is Russell Wilson. And I think he's literally playing at a level where I think him and Lamar are a lot closer in MVP, in my opinion. And I think, especially when you look at what Seattle is putting out there, bro. Like, dude, Tyler Lockett got 0 catches on Monday Night Football. Like,
I think he was battling the flu.
He was, but, it's like Malik Turner is becoming a thing. Josh Gordon got signed off basically his couch after being cut by the Patriots, and he's catching key third downs.
More benefit from Xavier Rhodes' coverage bust.
Right, but also like Jacob Hollister now is starting in your fantasy league. Will Disley became a thing. It's like this dude is doing it with not much around him, and his defense is playing better, and Clowney's becoming more of an impactful guy, but the Ravens roster is much better. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Top to bottom?
I'm looking at their one-score games right now. So you have Cincinnati, which, wow, week 1, they beat the Bengals by 1 point. That's crazy looking back. Pittsburgh, 1 by 2. That Rams Thursday night game, all right, that's one where you can say they were lucky. Even beating the Browns by 4, they're lucky. Like, they dominated the Falcons, but only won by 7 because they let them back in. Bucks overtime, Niners overtime, Eagles, they won by 8. Vikings, here's my argument with the whole one possession. They clearly outplayed Minnesota, at least I thought. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly outplayed Philly in that game. Garbage time touchdown. San Fran, if Fafetti doesn't pick up the ball and try to run, I think they probably beat San Fran by those because they handled Jimmy G throughout that game. I just think a lot of these Atlanta, they won by 7, but they pretty much dominated.
It was it's a lot. You're right. A lot of garbage.
That's why I think that's a little inflated when it comes to say, okay, they've won these one possession close games. Don't get me wrong, they played close games. Like those, we watched a little bit of that Tampa Bay game. That was pretty nervy, and that Rams game, they had no business winning Zerline, one of the best kickers in the league. You expect
it's
them
like a gimme.
Yeah, so they've benefited a little bit, but at the same time, I think they've really outplayed teams for the most part. Like I was really impressed by them against Minnesota. I think their defense is starting to step up because earlier in the season they were getting torn apart. But we've seen John Reed has been a big because I believe he was suspended for 6 games. Having him back has been big. He forced a fumble on Dalvin Cook, and that secondary is getting better. Like I always liked McDougal, Flowers,
former Jet, right? He was the dude on the Jets.
Bucks.
McDougal?
Bradley McDougal.
Oh, who's the McDougal I was thinking about with the Jets?
I don't
They
know.
had a McDougal.
Bradley McDougal's from the Bucks, but then I also think Shaquille Griffin's starting to step up his play. Like, that defense isn't great, but they're starting to at least force turnovers, and that's what you want to see. Like to me, what they've done against the Vikings and the Niners for them to win both games, I thought they were clearly the better team in both those games. I think it says a lot about them. That's why I really agree with them being a Super Bowl pick. I think it's a really good pick. Besides having Russell Wilson, of course.
Give me your next team.
Gonna go with the Chiefs.
Ah, damn it!
I'm excited about the Chiefs.
That's who I wanted to pick, man. I wanted them to fall to me because I tweeted about them today. Did you see my Twitter, you piece of trash?
I saw like a brief description. You were just saying like how high. I think we all know how great Mahomes is, though.
But yo, don't you think that we do live in a society just across the board, not even in sports, just in general, where it's like we're so much in the now. We're like everyone's talking about Lamar Jackson, and look, he's having a sensational season. Don't get me wrong, but Mahomes was doing this shit last year. And everyone was like,
it's all recency bias.
Yeah, and I just think like, yo, let's not forget, like
he's been injured a little bit too, but he's still having a tremendous year. He was throwing some dimes. That throw to Kelsey on his back foot. Kelsey was in the air for like 6 seconds. Hey, he's got the pass this week. Mahomes is gonna remind people why he's still the best in the game. I'm really high on him. I think that defense is coming along too.
Bingo.
That's a big thing. Chris Jones is still one of the best. Frank Clark's starting to make plays. Honey Badger seems like every week he's getting his hands on the ball. I'm really excited to see because that defense, all they have to do pretty much, don't allow more than like 28 points because the offense is going to deliver. They're kind of like the past Rams teams. Like you could bend, just don't break. That's pretty much it. And if you could force a turnover too, which they do, they have the playmakers to do so. They're going to win games. So I'm really excited about them. And just the fact that we see now Darwin Thompson, someone that a lot of people, like draft analysts, were really excited about. He's now starting to get integrated in the offense. If Andy Reid likes somebody, he's going to play him. So I think with both Williamses being injured, we're going to see him and Shea McCoy a lot going forward. So I'm just, once again, really excited about offense. And as long as Tyreek Hill stays healthy, put him and Hartman too. There's a lot of reasons. When it comes to explosiveness, I don't think anyone could compete with Kansas City. They just have so many playmakers and so much speed on both sides of the ball. And I think speed kills. So I would say right now probably the second favorite coming out of the AFC.
Wow, even ahead of New England.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say the sky's falling in New England. Obviously they have problems, but I just think Kansas City right now, they're finally starting to get healthy, and that's pretty much the key because I think injuries have really played this year between Tyreek Hill being banged up. I think there's been some injuries on the offensive line, and then Mahomes going down. So I think now that they're getting healthy, why aren't they not a contender?
Yeah, like I was just looking at the Chiefs from a betting perspective because, they're 12-1 odds right now to win the Super Bowl. Beginning of the year, they were 6-1 odds. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's because, you were projecting the Chiefs to have home field advantage, a bye week candidate. And, crazier things have happened. If they beat the Pats this weekend, they'll be essentially one game back of New England. They would have to make up ground. But it's something that it was just like a value thing, Like I like Thornwell, I think his name is.
Louis Riddick was super high on him.
Bro, him and Honey Badger are making plays back there.
Right.
Their secondary is playing better. And I do think that team is very opportunistic because, like you said, they know that the offense could go out there and put up a 30 spot. And I think that helps your defense when you know that, like, yo, you could just pin your ears back and just go rush the passer.
Yeah, and you know who their D coordinator is.
Of course, my boy, my guy, Spags. The defense is, they love to blitz. He's always been a guy like that. And when he has a good defensive line, he can be a good defensive coordinator. The year that he came back to the Giants in 2016, they spent all that money in free agency. And, they had Snacks, not so much a tremendous pass rusher, but, you had the thumbless one, JPP. You had Vernon, too, who, Vernon coming into that contract, like he didn't have the sack numbers, but he was like top 5 for 4 years in QB hits. Yeah. And like, to me, I think that's like a stat that kind of flies under the radar. It's like, dude, sure, sacks, you might not get 15 sacks. I mean, that's hard to get anyway, but, if you're in the 7-8 sack range, but you're getting like top 5 production at rushing the passer, I think that's just as good to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm devastated that you picked the Chiefs. So now I'm a little flustered. I'm gonna go with a team that
I wonder if you're gonna go outside the box here because there's two that come to mind.
I'm gonna go outside the box,
Okay.
and I don't want to live in recency bias, but I'm gonna pick an AFC team because I picked 2 NFC teams.
All right.
I'm gonna go with the Texans.
Oh man, you're going to Bill O'Brien, right?
Bill O'Brien, baby. 1-0 this year against Bill Belichick. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But I do think that you want to talk about an explosive offense too. Fuller, Stills, obviously.
If anyone could compete with Kansas City when it comes to firepower, it's Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've beaten 2 of the 3 best teams in their conference, right? They've beaten the Chiefs in Kansas City. They beat New England. Obviously, they got the doors blown off them against Baltimore. But it's weird. Like, you look at those 4 teams right now, the division leaders, they've all like beaten each other, right? Like, obviously the Chiefs play the Pats now, but Chiefs lose to the Texans lose to Baltimore, but the Chiefs beat Baltimore, right? So it's like the way it's just like working and maneuvering, right now New England hasn't beaten anyone good in their conference.
It's exciting because AFC's been so lopsided these past years.
Right. So I think like with the Texans, I think Watson is playing at a super high level too. He's a guy similar to Lamar where he could beat you both ways. I do think he's a better passer than Lamar.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'm not really
That's not really saying much.
And hello. Wake up, Bill O'Brien. You traded a 3rd-round pick for Duke Johnson. You saw what he was able to do against New England. And now the whole trend is like
you got to attack those linebackers.
Yeah, you need to have a running back that can catch out the backfield. And like Carlos Hyde's cool. You want to give him 20 carries for 64 yards and hope that he stumbles into the end zone? Fine, congrats. But like I think Duke Johnson should be playing more. And their defense, I don't know how I feel about them. Obviously, losing J.J. Watt was big. And, they also lose Clowney essentially too if you look at that. But is another thing where like if you're Romeo Crennel and you're the defense, you're like, just don't give up 40 points because our defense could put up 30 on anyone.
Plus, Watt may come back for the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Huge.
That would be.
That's a difference maker right there.
Yeah.
He's on a really good year. It's just injuries that played them. But I also like DJ Reader. I think he's having a breakout year at the nose tackle. Nose tackles don't get too much love, but a guy at the end that can stop
actually, no, we show some love. I've shown
love. Snacks, yeah.
Yeah, but Jared too.
Jared Reed's
boy.
another one, yeah. So I think you have to keep that in mind. Like, I don't know how much to take from that New England game because New England receivers just can't separate, but it's good to know at least Houston, they could hold up somewhat because I thought that secondary going to season, Houston was looking rough. And then that New Orleans game, they just got torn apart. So I was just looking at their corners and just the safeties. I'm like, I don't know how good they are, but at least they can hold up against some competition because that's the key. Because for me, they're going to put up points. Offense line's playing somewhat better, but for me, with Houston, if they're going to really contend, it's going to come down to that defense, primarily the secondary.
Yeah, that secondary is still going to be the issue. They're still throwing out there Jonathan Joseph, who's that guy's been in the league for
Tayshaun Gibson's out there.
Yeah. So
no Patriots, no Packers. Those are 2 teams I think people keep in mind.
I think we're going to get some nasty tweets about that, leaving those 2 teams out there. I'm
not too down on the Patriots. It's just
their offense is it's a rough watch right now. It's Edelman and White, and that's it.
Right.
You can't. We had Davino on the show, and he's a big Pats fan, and he's been telling me, he's like, yo, Brady's shot. Like, Brady's not good. And have you seen what AB's been doing as of late? All over Instagram, just tagging Brady, missing the Pats.
Yeah, God, this guy is so attention-seeking.
But here's the thing, though. Call me crazy. I think if he goes to New England, they become the favorite again.
Yeah, he's in shape. That's the thing. He's
in shape.
Yeah, his work ethic can't be denied.
And look, he knows the system. Like I know it was against Miami, but he was there. He has some chemistry with Brady, and man, Brady is dying for a guy to be able to take the top off the defense.
He could just come right back in like late December. Like damn, because I know Gronk can't come back now.
Gronk, the date passed. I think it was like November 30th was the deadline. Right. So yeah, let us know, guys. So we got Saints, 49ers, Ravens, Seahawks, Chiefs, Texans. What team would you say honorable mention? Just mention a team.
Besides the Patriots and Packers?
Yeah, you can't pick those 2.
Those are obvious picks. I guess the Vikings, but I'm not overly enthusiastic about them. Thielen needs to get healthy. Like that offense is so limited when they're chasing a game without Thielen.
Can I give you a team and you might laugh?
If you go Titans.
Yes.
Hey. Yo. I'm interested.
Yo, listen.
We got to give them more attention. I'm going to commit to talk about the Titans. I feel like we have not talked about them.
After this week, we're going to be talking about them a lot. You know why, right? 2 of the last 3 games, the Texans and the Titans play each other. Essentially, that's going to come down to the division.
Wow.
The Texans play the Broncos this week, and then they play Tennessee. I don't know where. Then there's like a random game, and then they close out the year against the Titans too. So that's going to come down to the division there.
AFC South Sunday night, second straight year. Except this time we don't have to watch Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, and I picked the Titans to win the division this year too.
You did. You got some decent calls.
Yeah, I got some rough ones too.
Yeah,
Saints,
well, we won't talk about the Falcons, but
also Saints not making the playoffs, and they're currently the 1 seed.
Yeah, I don't know about
Eagles 13-3 and winning the Super Bowl.
We haven't talked about the Eagles, God.
Well, the times that we've talked, we've trashed them. So that's a conversation for another time when it comes to the Eagles. Yeah, let's talk a little bit quick before we get into games of the week. It was something that you thought was very important, and I agree with you. And I hope that he is the future head coach for the New York Giants. Ron Rivera fired. Surprised?
Not after hearing the interview from David Tepper, who's the owner. He's taking over for Jerry Richardson. And I think it's a very honorable approach. He just wants to look at candidates now. Why wait 4 weeks? Let's just start assessing our options rather than doing it behind a guy's back who has a lot of respect. I know Ron Rivera, maybe not the most strategic coach. Like some of his decision making is pretty bizarre, but at the same time he commands respect, and I know that locker room really plays for him. So, and the fact that he's accomplished a lot, 3 straight NFC South champions, I believe, from 2013 to 2015. Obviously went to the Super Bowl in that 15 season. So he's someone that's very credible, and I like the fact that they came as like, okay, we just have to look at our options. Why wait? So I think at first I was shocked, but then after you listen to what Tepper was saying, it makes total sense.
I am praying to the football gods that he's the head coach for the Giants. Pat Shurmur, no respect, none. You got to go. It's just ran its course. I think I'm a big fan of what do players say about you when you're gone, right? A lot of people, they get traded or they leave a place and then they kind of just bash it, right? Like no one really said anything nice about Mike McCarthy, right? You see it time and time again. A guy leaves and then it's like, oh, that guy sucked. We didn't like him.
When Grigson left Indianapolis, they were throwing a parade.
I mean, it didn't take much to realize that was a shitbag organization as far as how that was being run. But a lot of people took to Twitter, social media, and everyone from Ryan Khalil to Cam Newton to McCaffrey honoring
Greg Olson,
Ron Rivera and showing love to him. That's what the Giants need. And I think that it's not going to take long for him to start interviewing. I think he's going to be a head coach next year. He should be a head coach. I always thought he was kind of underrated. Like he got the big reputation, Riverboat Ron, being a guy who liked to go for it, and he kind of became a fan of the analytics as far as like, it's 4th and 1. Why should I punt? Why not go for it? And I just think it's something that he should go to a team that needs a culture change. And right now, like for the New York Giants, and sorry, I'm going to talk about my team. The Giants are one of the more poorly run organizations in the NFL the last couple of years. It's not being talked about enough. Do you know since 2017, who has more wins, the Cleveland Browns or the New York Giants?
Oh, Cleveland Browns.
And that factors in an 0-16 season.
Browns were half decent last year.
Giants in 2017, after going 11-5, 3-13, 5-11, 2-10 at the time we're recording, going into week 14, right? Remove the 11-5 season, 6-10, 6-10, 7-9. Now you're gonna say, "Yo, Lamb, you guys won a Super Bowl." I understand, and I'm beyond happy for it. What would you do for a Super Bowl?
A lot
of inappropriate things, maybe too. Get a little wild. Yeah. But the Giants have been a shitbag organization for a very long time, and the thing that has covered it up has been the Super Bowl wins, obviously, and also that 11-5 year. The Browns. In 2017, 0-16. Then they went 7-8-1, and then they're 5-7 right now. So even with an 0-16, they have a better record than the New York Giants. From top to bottom, the Maras have not been running well. The Tisch family has not been running well. There's the on Giants Twitter and in the Giants fan base, they're cursed ever since Tom Coughlin came off the podium and they stood up to shake his hand, and he didn't shake their hand, and he kind of just like cold-shouldered them. And
it was a power move.
It's just like, and look, the team got injured. I get that, but I watched them more than anyone that I know, right? And I hate doing that, like watch the game kind of thing. But like, there's not many people that could check me when it comes to the Giants. And I just think that they've been an awful team. And a guy like Ron Rivera is a guy who's going to take no shit. He's going to improve the defense.
To bring credibility.
And it's going to be like, yo, this is a guy who I've seen him go toe-to-toe with guys that are good head coaches and prevail. You know, he's gone at it with Sean Payton year in, year out. Yeah. And, you know, Dan Quinn, obviously it's fallen off now, but I just think that it's something that needs to happen for the...
They were really good in 2017. People forget the NFC South in 2017, 3 playoff teams. New Orleans won division, Carolina, Atlanta both went to the playoffs. So it's not like a situation like the Giants where the Panthers have been awful. It's like, no, they made the playoffs in 2017. They lost to the Saints in the wild card.
And when they've missed the playoffs, it's like, you know, they missed the playoffs in 2016, right? Well, the Falcons went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They've had to run through the Saints, who have been a premier team in the NFL since Peyton. And so I think Ron Rivera is a guy who is definitely going to be a head coach, and I think he's going to be a head coach now. And I think if you're a team like, you know, like the Giants.
You said culture change. What I view as culture change, a team like the Jaguars, Giants, or Redskins. Now, I can't advocate any person in the world to work for the Redskins, so I'm going to eliminate the Redskins. Whoever takes that job, good luck to you. For me, I think it's Giants and Jaguars are the 2 best choices. I don't think a team like Dallas or Atlanta should get Ron Rivera. I think they need to get offensive mind coach, just where they're at. In terms of the franchise, I think they just have to take a chance on some offensive mind coach. But team like the Giants or the Jaguars, they just need someone to go in there, bring some credibility, and just establish something. Because I think both teams are really lacking in that department. And look, Ron Rivera, he has a resume, and I think he's someone that hasn't really burnt bridges. It's not like a Mike McCarthy situation where it's like, okay, he's clearly out of his depth. He's been riding Rodgers' coattails for years. Ron Rivera did a lot of good things for Carolina, and he's not far removed from, you know, being the coach of a team that it was Super Bowl caliber.
You know, I think another underrated thing, and I got to give a shout out to Jess, Danny's wife, our buddy Danny. She was like, yo, I think that they got rid of Ron Rivera because he didn't want to get rid of Cam. You know, there was reports that, you know...
I don't know how much I'm buying that.
Yeah, you don't think that could be something? Maybe Ron Rivera...
I just think he ran his course.
Like, eventually, it's just... Like, he's been there for a while, right? Like
9 years.
9 years. Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes he just runs its course.
All right.
Yeah. Happened to Mike Smith. I love Mike Smith. But it happened...
I mean, shit, Tom Coughlin, same thing, you know? Like, and I know Tom Coughlin won a Super Bowl, but eventually, like... Dude, it's hard to do what Sean Payton's doing. Harbaugh brother from Baltimore, he was on the hot seat last year.
He was on literally hot seat. Like, they were like, all right.
Yeah, if he didn't pull the trigger on Lamar, he probably would have not, you know, because they went 6-1 down the stretch. They made the playoffs.
You have 2 down years, you're in trouble in this league. That's what it comes down to, especially when your team is clearly talented. Like, Carolina has a lot of talent. They invest a lot. So that's why I think it just kind of ran its course, but I'm excited to see where he goes. But I think either the Giants or Jaguars is the best landing spot for him.
Let's run through some of these games of the week because we are running a little extra than usual, and you know we got to get out of here and go and handle some behind the scenes stuff. Make sure you guys all tune in to the episode on Monday. There's a big announcement coming for the show. If you guys are Patreon members, you guys already know, but some exciting stuff happening over here on VM. All right, 49ers and Saints.
Woo! NFC Championship preview.
Yeah? Going out there and saying?
I think so. Even though the Niners are currently, I believe, the 5 seed.
5 seed, man. Crazy, right?
They got some work to do.
Let me just ask you just a general question. Do you think it's time to maybe change that?
Yes.
Like,
the NFC has no business having a home game.
They really might go 13-3 and have to go to a potentially 8-8 is not out the realm of possibility.
But look up to the Chargers last year. What were they, 12-4? And they had to go to Baltimore. And that's a tense place to play. I know they won, but still.
Yeah.
That wasn't ideal.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. You're right. And I think that it's something that needs to be considered because I think that's not right. You know, I don't think it's fair. And sure, you could say, well, the luxury of winning your division is you get a home game, but still, like you said, you don't 8-8. You shouldn't. Like there should be a rule where, like, yo, minimum you need to win 10 games or more to host a playoff.
Or do what the NBA does when it comes to like the top 3-4 seeds. Right? Don't they like do all wins?
Well, the NBA does. I believe division winners are the top 3 seeds.
Oh, I thought maybe
it used to be. No. Actually, I think you're right.
Yeah, I thought maybe because of the wins, and then maybe they can't go lower than 4.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. You can't go lower than.
They should do something like that. But I think with any sort of 49ers game, when it comes to a premier matchup, it pretty much relies on Jimmy G. Is he going to make enough throws? I think some of these games where it's just, I don't know, he doesn't see linebackers. It's just he takes too many chances where he probably could go to another option. It's just I don't think he reads the game as well as we thought he would. Because remember, in 2017, when he took over, he was taking the league by storm. So I think it's still kind of a hit and miss season for Jimmy G. And going in that environment, New Orleans, it's going to be very, very intimidating. So I think that's pretty much what's going to determine this game is how well he plays. And, of course, how much of an impact will the Niners pass rush have? Because, Sean Payne's ready for those screens. He's ready to screens and 6-yard hitches on Michael Thomas. I think he's going to have Drew Brees ready for wherever that pass rush may be. But I think this game's going to come down to how well Jimmy G plays.
Shout out to our guy, Taryn, does some work with PFF. He sent us some stats here, and he goes, PFF overall ranking, Saints are 3rd, Niners are 4th. Ramczyk, you're talking about the pass rush, currently the highest graded right tackle in football. And
he's stud.
Yeah. And he's going to, he's going to have his hands full.
Got D Ford, because Bosa pretty much lines up on the other
opposite side of him. Yeah. And, also I think the biggest question mark here, and I talked about it earlier in the show when we did our Super Bowl Contenders segment, I think George Kittle, for what he means to the San Francisco 49ers, is probably the most impactful non-quarterback to an offense in football.
Either that or the other guy on the other side of the field, Michael Thomas, what he does for New Orleans.
Yeah, that's true.
He gets the most targets. Drew Brees.
He's on pace to break Harrison's record.
Wow.
Which is a record that's been around for close to 20 years now.
Yeah. Ooh, him against Sherman. Sherman is not afraid to get physical. Michael Thomas is arguably the most physical. Him and Hopkins are the most physical receivers in the league, so that's a fun matchup. It's just all across the board. It's a phenomenal matchup. That's why I think it's the NFC Championship preview. So that's why I think there's so many reasons to get excited about it. I'm curious to see the quarterback play in particular, just because how shaky Jimmy G is looked and how many chances Drew Brees is going to take. Because this kind of time to December, even though he was injured previously, Drew Brees kind of gets conservative now. So I'm wondering how many chances he takes in the game, especially given the stakes. Because if the Saints win, I think they have a really good chance at getting the first seed. So
they essentially would have like a 2-game lead on the Seahawks because they own the tiebreaker over them. And then they would own the tiebreaker over the Niners, and then I don't think
they need that
else.
dome, man. That dome is such an advantage.
Yeah. So who you got in this game?
Gonna go New Orleans.
The dome. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a rough spot for the Niners. Back-to-back games on the East Coast. Two of, both of those teams might be in the Super Bowl too. The Ravens and the Saints.
Just another intimidating place to play too. Like New Orleans is just that.
But you know what? The Niners, they impressed me last week, man. I think I got a lot of respect out of the Niners in that game against the Saints.
That defense will always keep it competitive.
Yeah. Next game up, we got the Chiefs and the Patriots, the AFC title game preview from a year ago. Patriots are still the number 1 ranked team despite losing to the Texans per PFF. We're talking about the Chiefs are healthy. Finally, they have all but one player on the injury report, and Brady, very telling stat, has more incompletions due to wide receiver error than any other quarterback. So, Brady does look bad. He does look shaky, but a lot of that is on the wide receiver. A lot of new pieces, right? Like Keanu Neal. Oh, well, sorry.
Mohamed Sanu.
Keanu Neal. Mo Sanu.
Myers.
Harry. Myers. It's like these guys are new guys that are getting acclimated to the system.
That Harry draft pick, I'm still wondering why they made a decision. The guy cannot separate. Could you imagine they drafted someone like Terry McLaurin?
Hold on. Not only that, they have not been good at drafting wide receiver ever under Belichick.
They really haven't.
Name a wide receiver that's been good for them that they drafted. Shit, Edelman they drafted as a quarterback, so they've been able to get like.
I liked Malcolm Mitchell for a bit, but he just couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, he couldn't stay healthy. But that wasn't a first round pick, is what I'm saying. Like
second round pick.
It's like
Dobson was second round pick too.
Yeah, they've swung and missed on a lot of wide receivers, but what they do very, very well is they'll get the Wes Welker, they'll get the Randy Moss, obviously Randy Moss, but Dante Stallworth, right? Deion Branch, they made a thing. But how you feeling about this game, man? Because I do think that this might be a spot where Mahomes reminds people like, yeah, I'm still here. Hey, don't forget about me.
I just think that the speed that they have could really destroy the Patriots defense. Patriots linebackers are slow. I think if any receiver could get at Gilmore, it's Tyreek Hill. We've seen in the past. That's another worrying matchup. And I think Kelsey, I know Belichick kind of prioritized on stopping him the most, but now you have Watkins healthy. I think Hardman is such a dynamic threat. Robinson made a big play. I think the Chiefs offense, when it comes to having array of weapons, I think they're the most dangerous offense league in terms of just the talent level they have. And between that and the Patriots pass rush kind of not having much of an impact, I really think the Chiefs could blow this one up. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, but I could see this being a huge statement win for the Chiefs that even more concerned going forward with the Patriots, because I think the defense has been a little bit fortunate, and now they're going. I don't think they faced offense with this much firepower, especially on the outside. So I think they could get them at them. We saw Kenny Stills and Fuller and Hopkins kind of get at them. Wait till these Chiefs receivers get at them.
Man, speed. I feel like the Chiefs go to the combine and they're like, "What'd that guy run? 4.3? There he is."
Yeah.
You know, and
I think they're the best screen team in the league. The way they get McCoy, or even they'll run a wheel route to Thompson or McCoy, whoever it may be.
I mean, they'll run tight end screens too. Like they do so much. Yeah. Do you think they're gonna prioritize taking Kelsey out?
I think Belichick, that's like his main priority. We've seen that in the past.
Yeah, I could see that too. I'm curious to see Stephon Gilmore, what he does, because I could see, because man, he's playing lights out. But if that's the case, don't you think they might do like a Gilmore on Kelsey kind of thing?
That's what they did last year. They double teamed Hill, and then I think they put Gilmore on Kelsey. But I think this year I think they have more talent. Okay, Watkins could be a little bit inconsistent, but I think Hardman's such an X factor.
Yeah.
And with those screens between, whether it's McCoy, Thompson, maybe one of the Williams' play, who knows? But I think this year they're much more talented than last year, at least when it comes to the skill position players. So I think that's what concerns me most with the Patriots. Do they have enough? Because I don't even think the Patriots second, don't get me wrong, McCourty's are great, Gilmore, but I don't think they have the corner depth that can match with the Patriots receiver or Chiefs receivers. Yeah. Then again, I don't think any defense can.
Yeah, that's
maybe the Ravens.
That's a lot of firepower.
Ravens got
man.
3 stud corners.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them playing again. Chiefs and the Ravens. I would like to see that.
2-3 seed. Or the Ravens might get the 1 seed now, so who knows? But yeah, I think this is a big blow. But I want to see what Brady can do, because look, Chiefs defense, they will allow yards. So maybe this is another James White game. We saw him go off last week, although go off to, I probably just pile up garbage time numbers. But I think James White, once again, going against those Chiefs linebackers, that's one way you could get at them. So this should be another classic game, but I'm definitely going Kansas City. I'm riding that momentum.
I think I'm going to go with Kansas City too, man. I don't like what I'm seeing from this Patriot offense. And I think if they lose this game too, and it's another issue where they can't move the ball on offense, I could see them maybe making a move to bring AB back and just being like, yo, fuck it. Let's just deal with it.
Then they got to play the Bills next.
Yeah.
That's another tough defense.
Yeah, definitely. All right, last but not least, speaking of Buffalo, no one circles the wagon. Buffalo Bills. Betting perspective, a little betting talk. Be very careful with this game. Bills are a 5-point underdog. They're playing in the Ralph. Biggest game that they've played there in a very long time.
Considering it's December, yeah. Because even though they made the playoffs in 2017, no one was really taking them that seriously.
What about your boy Ariel saying that they're going to run the table and win the division?
Oh, look, Ariel's a major homer. Love the guy, but he is a big-time homer. When the Knicks win 3 in a row, he starts talking about NBA Finals. So he needs to stick to MMA. But you have to give a lot of love to the Bills. They completely dominated the Cowboys. They punched them right in the mouth. I love just their swagger now. Like you see, who was it? Phillips and Davis White and like Ed Oliver and Shaq Lawson. Like all these guys are just talking shit afterwards. Like, oh, Dallas, they're doing the Zeke. It's just Buffalo. They're starting to get the notoriety, and this is how they're doing it. Just that defense consistently plays at a high level, and they make teams work. And I'm really excited to see how they can handle Lamar Jackson. Will they fall? Will they be out of position when they run the zone read? Because that's pretty much how Baltimore won that game. Like Lamar, like 8 times just got the San Fran completely out of position. They just felt they got baited into the fake. So will Buffalo be organized? Because you would think with Sean McDermott's experience having Tyrod Taylor for a bit, they could be more positionally disciplined going against Lamar and just that unpredictable style. And Greg Roman used to be the coach, I think, coordinator. Mm-hmm. Rex Ryan cruelly fired him. Remember after that crazy Fitzpatrick game, the Week 2 Thursday night game?
Yeah.
Rex Ryan goes, all right, our defense allowed about 550 yards and like 45 points, but we're going to fire our offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Roman was the guy. So maybe it's a little revenge game getting back at Buffalo, but I'm excited about the Bills. I've been really down on them, but I think now you have to start embracing them.
You know, I couldn't have been more wrong on Cole Beasley and John Brown. Like, for what they got paid and what they gave him, I was like, you know what? I rather would have maybe combined that salary and got a better wide receiver kind of thing. But, man, those guys have been really productive. And Josh Allen, his numbers are through the roof when he's
starting. They're in for a rude awakening, though. This is the best cornerback trio. Like, put him against guys like Peters, Humphrey, and Smith. It's going to be problematic. I think Buffalo's defense is going to need them Buffalo's defense gonna have to force a few turnovers and keep Baltimore under 24. Otherwise, this game I think could be a rout.
So when you think of Josh Allen, what do you think his biggest strength is as a quarterback?
He's fearless. You could say arm strength, but I still don't rate him that highly as a passer. But I just think his fearlessness is really impressive. Just the way he takes defenders head on when it comes to scrambling or even option plays. But he has impressive arm strength. There's no denying the guy's a cannon. It's just how he channels it. It's a problem. Like he still is very erratic at times.
Josh Allen, the worst passing grade in football on throws over 20 yards. That's why I asked that, because when you think of Josh Allen, you're like airing it downfield kind of thing.
He's got arm strength.
He does, yeah. He
just doesn't have accuracy.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go with Buffalo here. I think the Ralph is a very difficult place to play. They always surprise people. I think Ravens are on such a high right now. They've had like
several big wins,
like a bunch of big wins in a row, right? Like going back to the Seahawks game, like they've beaten really good teams. Like that's the best case that you can make for the Ravens. Like sure, they're playing well, but they're also beating teams that are good.
Texans, Patriots,
the Seahawks, the what they did, this past week, the Niners. Right, the Rams. I know, but still, to go into LA and
they
just
destroyed them.
Yeah, they
never seen a Sean McVay team get that man.
They violated them in every sense of the word. So, but I'm gonna go with Buffalo, yo. No one circles the wagon. Shout out to the 716, yo. My people up there, baby.
Look at you, good old give the Bills. Look, I think you have to respect the Bills. I think they're a likable team. Like we haven't even talked about Frank Gore and Singletary. Like they're a good offense. It's just I think Baltimore, what they've assembled defensively and just what Lamar Jackson's doing right now, it's too much. I think you have to be a real elite team to beat them, unless Lamar is off game. But I'm gonna go with Baltimore.